Yeah. Hello, hello. Hi, Donna. Hello, everybody. Sorry we're late,
How's your
people. A little bit of
How was
technical
your day?
difficulties. It was good. It was good. How about you?
Good.
Yeah. Good, good. Yeah. Yeah, it was it was I want to say productive. Today's probably one of the first days I actually got all the stuff on my sort of like my to-do list done.
Oh, nice.
And that was like, yeah, usually I have a lot of stuff on there, so some stuff always has to go, and it's sometimes it's just too much, and it's like, okay, I don't want to work that hard. I'm kind of I'm really retired right now, so, but
Mm-hmm.
I did my Tai Chi in the morning and my little workout. I did some Bible study, did my Tai Chi,
Nice.
and then I did some guitar practice. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's really
So,
nice.
yeah, yeah. So it was a very enjoyable day. And that's about it, though, just sort of hanging around.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have beautiful weather here right now. Yesterday was raining. Now, today was a beautiful day, sunny and warm and blue sky with little puffy clouds, and it was just really gorgeous. Trees are starting to turn green, and the grass is already turning green.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's really nice out there. So I would take little breaks. Like I would, when I finished one thing, I'd go out and for a little break and come back and start again on my next thing that I wanted to do. It's like, I'm
I
on a
get that.
schedule here. Well, it takes time, to do all this stuff. Like all this stuff I'm trying to do is like this learning process thing. So I'm always, you know, pushing myself to try to learn this stuff, and it's like I'm running out of time. I'm almost 60. So
You
I
got
gotta
lots of
hustle,
time.
man.
You
I'm
got
like, I
lots of
got
time
myself on
ahead
a
of you.
massive schedule. Well, we don't know, and that's the thing. I hate to think, okay, I do have 10 years left, or I do have 15 healthy years left. We just don't know. So I'm cramming everything in that I possibly can that I want to do now.
Mm-hmm.
But at some point, you have to say, okay, that's too much. I'm going to have to back it off because I'm getting old, and I do like to take the odd nap here and there, as you know,
Yeah,
Donna.
me
Because
too.
half the
Me
time,
too.
you already know that I'm like the queen of naps. Like Donna will be like, "So what'd you do today?" Well, this and this, and I took a nap. She's really like that bag. I'm over here working, and she's napping.
Yeah, I'm working. You're napping. That's real fair, friend.
Sorry, I hate to bring it up, but since we're being talking truthfully here about the day, yeah, I did have a little power nap. I had time for a power nap, and but I feel bad for you because you didn't have time for nothing. So you had a busy day.
Yeah.
So,
I I actually
but
had a
cool.
very interesting day. It was gorgeous here too, but one of my students was diagnosed with diabetes type 1.
Oh
And I
no.
met with him and his mom today, and I had to learn how to, like calculate the carbs for his insulin. And oh my God, this little boy, he's a trooper. Like he does the shot himself right in his tummy. I couldn't even
Mm-hmm.
believe it. Like, you know how I am with needles to
Wow.
begin with? Like, they say they're going to take
Yeah.
my blood or give me a shot. I'm out like a light. This little boy, he just, he's like, it's okay, Miss Donna, I got this. And I figured it out, the carbs, and you have to divide it by 12. And I dialed it, and I'm like, okay, buddy, here
Oh.
you go. He did it, and he's like, I got to hold it in for an extra second to make sure all the medicine comes out of it. And I'm like, boy, buddy, I'm like, you're a champ. I'm so proud of you. He's like, oh, it's nothing. And I'm thinking, oh my God, like I was sitting here the whole time, like ready to panic. Cause it was like the first time myself, I was really scared because I kept thinking, like, what if you give him too much? What if you give him too little? What if I didn't properly calculate it? So
Yeah.
after his mom left, I like text her 4 times. I'm like, okay, so yeah, this, and this, and it's this carbs, and I divided it, and it come out to this. And she's like, That's perfect. You're doing great. And I'm like, okay, but I'm just a little bit nervous because it's a little boy's life. He's 6 years old, you know?
Yeah,
And she's
that's a
like,
big deal.
it
Mhm.
is. It really is. Maureen actually said, she's like, it scares me to one degree. I don't feel comfortable. And I'm like, well, I don't either. So we're going to figure it out every day. We're going to, verify it with his mother to make sure we're doing the right thing. But I mean, he's just so cool about it. He's like, oh, it's no big deal. And I'm just like, well, it's a big deal to me, buddy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's a brave little guy, but still, yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
want to be because you're running the show there. I mean, and you're responsible for those children while they're
Uh-huh.
under your care. Um, you'd want to be getting it right, you know.
Yeah.
But even so, even if you weren't in charge, you would want to be
Yeah.
getting it right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I want to
because
make
you
sure
care
that
about children.
he's safe. That's what I said to his mom. I'm
That's right.
like, all I want to make sure is we're doing the right thing and that he's safe. I'm like, I don't care about
Mhm.
anything else. I'm just more worried about his safety. And then he was on the bus and he ate a couple chips on the school bus. And I'm like, buddy, you can't eat until you get here. And he's like, oh, a couple chips won't hurt me. And I'm like kind of panicking because I'm like, well, how do I know that you're getting the right amount? And
It's
he's
like,
he's just
okay,
he's
I'll
just
be
like
doing
so
this weekend.
yeah, he goes, oh, a couple chips aren't going to hurt me. So I text his mom. She's like, no, a couple chips won't hurt him. And I'm like, I'm over here freaking panicking. And you people were like, oh, no big deal. And like, I don't know. I was just very nervous today about that. Very nervous.
Oh, I would be too. Definitely. Plus, you don't know how many a couple of chips really are. Is a couple of chips really a couple of chips, or was it a big handful, or was it half a
Well,
bag, or somebody says, "Oh, I had a couple of chips." What does that mean? Like for me, a couple of chips is a half a bag of chips. You know what I mean? Like
well, that's
I
what I
had a
said to
couple of
Marina
chips.
Barb. But I said that to Marina Barb today. I said, I know myself. I'll get the Pringles barbecued chips. And I'll be like, I'll grab a couple
Oh,
out, I grab a
Pringles.
couple more out, and then I grab a couple more out. And by the time I'm done, I'm saying a couple chips and I ate a half a can. So, like, did he have half a can or
Seriously,
half a bag?
Sarah, Pringles are dangerous, man. Like Cecil used to love Pringles, and we'd get him Pringles all the time because it was hard to find him treats that he really liked.
Hmm.
And it's like he loved them things. He'd have these big cans sitting around, and if I got into one, good luck, because there's no way to stop. Once you start, you pull a little stack out. You're like, oh yum, and then you're like, oh, I gotta have some more of those. So then you go back and you gotta
Good.
get another little stack. Before you know it, yeah, it's gone. Like honestly, yeah, I can't
They're,
even have those around
they're
me at
good.
all.
They're so good.
I
I never
get
used to eat Pringles. I never used to eat Pringles because living in
Yeah,
Pennsylvania is
they're
everybody's
good.
a Middle Earth person. And I'm like, give me my barbecues Middle Earth
Yeah.
and get away from me. And then one day we were at work and Maureen brought Pringles in and she goes, you want one? And I go, no. She goes, just try one. You'll like them. From that point on, it's just like, give me Pringles. And she's always laughing. I'm like, I can't help it. Now I'm addicted to Pringles.
Like I need the can of Pringles. Thank you very
Hmm.
much. Give me that can. They can't have those around at all. Mm-mm. Bags of chips, things like that. Like, um, yeah, no, no, I have no control. Like, and I'm not like that with anything else. Like, there's like with whatever cookies, cake, sweets, things like that. I
Hmm.
can have a couple, or a cookie. Have one cookie, that's fine. Chips, no. Chips, I have to eat them all. I can't even just eat half the bag. I need the rest of the chips that I'm supposed to be saving for another day. So I try not to keep them around. Usually, what I do is I make homemade. Like if I really craving potato chips, I'll make homemade potato chips. Yeah,
You made them not long ago.
yeah, yeah. I didn't. I
Mm-hmm.
made a couple batches of them. Um, I don't know. What was that? That was a few weeks ago, I think. Yeah.
Well, you
I mean,
said
they
they
were
were
tasty. They were
fabulous.
really, really good. I was like, yeah, I got all the seasonings on there, and oh man, they're really good. But it's kind of a nuisance, so you have to really be in the mood for it to go through the trouble of getting all the oil out and getting that going. And most people just keep chips around, but it's just that I can't, because if I have 2 bags of chips there, 2 days later those chips are going to be gone, like all of them. Yeah. I don't have any control.
Yeah. Years
Cecil
ago,
would be like,
years ago, I was a big snacker. Like I love chocolate and oh my God, chocolate cake with peanut butter icing, things like that. I would devour. Anymore, I have like no desire for sweets and like I said, I do cheat with the Pringles once in a while at work, but I just like, I don't know, like I really don't want sweets anymore. That's odd because most people love
I
sweets.
still like sweets, but I just kind of watch how much I'm eating, and because I used to eat a lot of sweets. Now I'm kind of, because I'm watching my sugar now, so I don't keep anything around. Like, I have to make it if I want it. Same with the chips; it's the same idea. I just don't keep it around, because if I do, it's gone. Like, um, I'll just eat them, and I'm not even hungry. It's just that they're so good, so I have to have more. So I don't. I'm just not keeping that stuff around. So I've been making these like little cakes, like that little cake I was talking to you about there. That was
That looked
it's
good.
like oatmeal, cinnamon. It was a good little cake, man. That thing was really good, and I didn't even put any frosting on it or anything, and it didn't have a lot of sugar in it. It was kind of a healthy little cake, if you want to call cake healthy. It was more like it was almost really more like a muffin. It was like a healthy muffin, I suppose. Obviously, there's some fat in there, and a little bit of sugar. But it had oatmeal, and it had honey, and it had and cinnamon's good. A little bit of cinnamon's good for you. It's good for your blood. And 1 egg, and that's kind of it. So, and it was really tasty. Yeah, that was really nice. And that thing lasted me because it wasn't chocolate, that thing lasted me for days, because I cut it in pieces. And I had a piece here and there. If that was chocolate with some sort of frosting on it, that'd have been gone like in 2 days.
It wouldn't have lasted you 2 days.
It was like the size of a pie pan. So yeah, it depends on what it is. If it's chocolate, it doesn't stand a chance here. But if it's something healthy, then it'll stay for a while, because I don't really like all the healthy stuff. So if it's healthy, it's like, okay, I'll have a piece. It's like, I suppose. I don't know. I'm trying to eat healthier, definitely. Yeah.
I know since January we changed our diet a lot. We tried to do more like chickens and more like turkey, that kind of thing, white meat. Very like once in a great while we'll have like a really hamburger or something. But then we do a lot of like fresh fruits and vegetables. And I never knew I liked steamed vegetables. I used to always really not care for vegetables. And one night we steamed them. Oh my God, they were so good. I loved them steamed. But I like the California style, like mixed vegetables, where they have like the carrots, broccoli, cauliflower. I just love that.
That's the one I always get. Yeah.
Yeah.
California style. That stuff is really good. I love steamed veggies. Like tonight, I had a bunch of veggies and broccoli, and it was just frozen broccoli. But I bought this huge bag of broccoli florets, frozen, because I thought, oh, that'll last me for a while. Because it's also good in stir fries. It adds a little niceness to a stir fry. So I had some of that and some veggies with a hot dog. I'm like, so the only bad thing here is the hot dog, but whatever. I don't care. I didn't have time to get anything else going. So I was too busy doing all my other stuff today. So. But at least I ate some veggies. I really prefer veggies over fruit. Like, I do like fruit, but I'm really picky about fruit. Like, I like, for instance, berries. I like strawberries. I like blackberries, raspberries, and all of that stuff. Blueberries, berries. Let's just call it berries. I like berries, and I like peaches. I like Sometimes a banana here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Not a great fan of bananas. I like them once in a while. I do like pineapple.
Oh, me too.
I like melon. I like cantaloupe, honeydew, and all that. Watermelon I'm allergic to it. If I eat watermelon, it literally causes my gums to like freak out.
Oh,
So,
wow.
and then I have to brush my teeth right away. It causes my gums to it like irritates my gums for some reason. And I don't know what the hell it is,
Wow.
but excuse my language. Sorry.
What are you being so nice for? You're
I'm
like an
trying
old
to keep it at a
sailor.
minimum, like what the hell it is. But it's just so weird because I can eat other melon and I love watermelon. Maybe that's where that comes from. It's the anger. I love watermelon and I can't have it
Can't have it.
because every time I eat it, it really causes my mouth a lot of grief. It's almost an allergic reaction. So I just don't eat it. But I love watermelon. So it's really a shame. But yeah, I don't know. I do like some fruits. I do like an apple once in a while. I'm just not a fan of eating like apples by the tons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think the apples that I guess if you had apples growing on an apple tree in your own orchard and they're not mass produced, it's going to be a good apple. You know what I mean? But the apples that we're getting by the bag in the grocery stores have really no flavor. The crunch is there, the juiciness is somewhat there, but where's the apple taste? It doesn't taste like anything. It's because they're so mass produced. You lose the flavor, right? So I've kind of lost interest in them, but they're still okay. But oranges, I don't know. I'm not a fan to eat an orange. I like those little, you know what I do like? Clementines. Those things are good, man. Clementines. And I never thought I would like a clementine, but I got some clementines and I was like, oh, these are the bomb, man. I guess I shouldn't say that either. Not in today's culture. Okay, we're not talking about bombs. We're talking about clementines. And what else? Those little, Japanese, those little tiny little oranges. The Japanese oranges, I guess. Really super, like mandarin oranges. I do like those. But the big oranges, not so much. I do like I like orange juice or whatever, but I don't know, they're really sour. Unless they're a little sweeter, I'm not into them. Just too sour. So that's the extent of my fruit. I do like pears, I guess. Yeah, so I guess I could say I do like fruit. Now that we've gone through all this talking about this whole thing about
you
fruit.
said about like the orchards and like the apple trees. We have apple trees, we have pear trees, and it is much better directly off the tree than it is than what you buy in a store. It's so much better.
Yeah, definitely. It's like if you have, like, for instance, anything in your own garden, carrots. I mean, you get carrots in the store in those cellophane bags, and I mean, okay, they're edible, there's nothing wrong with them. They're fine. You can cook with them, make soup with them, but they're not going to taste like the ones coming up out of the ground in your garden.
Yeah.
Those are really good. So you're absolutely right. Like, it's like the further away from, I guess the further away from, what do you want to call it? Just more homesteading, people with their own gardens, that you get, the more processed it is. I mean, because they have to mass produce that stuff. They have to hustle because they got to keep supply and demand going. So, you're not getting the greatest stuff. It doesn't taste that good. But man, when you get stuff that's right, like grown right off the farm or something, that's really nice. I live in the city, so I have to wait until we do have that. And there's a market. I used to work at that market, Crossroads Market, way back in the old days. And they have produce coming in from BC and parts of Alberta, and right off people's farms.
Yeah.
So you can get the good stuff. So, but it's only like it is only for June, July, August, 3-4 months. That's it. So
that's what we have. The
then the rest
Amish
of the year, you're stuff out of the cellophane bags.
Yeah, we have the Amish, and we get a lot of stuff from the Amish. I mean, years ago, we used to put a big garden in,
Yeah, they have
and
great.
one day it was just like, stop putting the garden in because you can get it from the Amish, and it's excellent and it's not
Mhm,
expensive. And it saves a lot of time and hassle with working within the garden and planting and take caring for it. So it just made it so much easier.
mhm. Plus, it helps them out too,
Yeah.
because they need to, they count on that for their livelihood to help
Mm-hmm.
boost their incomes. So, within their little sector, whatever. So, yeah, I mean, that's great to support them. Absolutely. We have something like that too here they're called the Hutterites. They are kind of like the Amish,
Mm-hmm.
um, Hutterite colonies. And there's a Hutterite colony not too far from Calgary where I live. And they do bring, you will see some of their stuff in markets. Sometimes they'll be at that crossroads. Um, there was a other market that I was working at way out by the mountains there. It was sort of
Mm-hmm.
just a few miles from the Rockies there. That was a beautiful spot. Um, Sometimes they'd be out there as well, selling some of their produce. And like the bread and jams and
Yeah.
chickens, pies, jams and jellies. Oh man, lovely stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to definitely, I mean, I live in a city, so I'm not growing a garden, downtown Calgary. It's just not going to
That wouldn't
happen.
work.
Um,
It wouldn't work.
no, I'd have to find a little spot out somewhere and somebody would just dig it up and eat it. Probably, we have a bunny. There's a downtown bunny right where I live. And this bunny is always around, especially at night
Aw.
when it's a little more quiet. And it comes out and it looks for food and it's fat. It's as fat as can be. Somebody's feeding it, obviously. It's getting lots of food. Um, but that bunny's been around for years. And I don't think it has a name. I'm sure nobody's named it. Maybe somebody has, but it's cute as can be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's getting something out there. Junk off the street, pizza, and who knows what little what it's getting, but it's getting something. But yeah, if we had a little garden, the critters would get it for sure. The patio in this building, we do have a patio, and the residents can grow stuff on it. Um, like if I wanted to, I could grow some stuff
Well,
because
that's
I'd have
cool.
I'd have a small little area to grow things, but I don't have a green thumb. I can't grow anything. Like Cecil, Cecil had a total green thumb, and he could grow anything. Like he could grow potatoes,
Oh, wow.
like on the patio. He could grow all kinds of stuff. Yeah, he just had a green thumb, and I have like it's a death sentence to give me a plant. Yeah, it's an instant death sentence for that plant. It's not going to make it.
Not buying your
It's
plants,
just not
love.
a good idea. But I'm really good with cats and pets. Yeah, pets is
Yeah.
fine, but no plants. I just can't do plants for some reason.
We
So I
have a
just don't even
family
try.
of rabbits living under our porch again. I
Oh,
didn't know they
how
had their
cute.
babies yet. And I always say our girl out. And so she could do her thing last night. And she went over under the porch and I'm like, get out here, get out here. I got the flashlight and I shined under and there was two big rabbits and a bunch of little babies. And I'm like, no wonder she wanted under the
Oh,
porch.
how cute. Oh, bunny family. How cute.
Well, see,
Yeah.
I feed them, and then like I don't see them all winter long, and then all of a sudden it just seems like once warm weather breaks, they're back. They're back. So I don't know, like if they
Hmm.
hibernate or what they do. I've never really researched wild rabbits, but it's pretty cool.
I think
Like,
they do.
do
They
they?
have like little burrows. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They have their own little burrows where they go. Yeah.
I wasn't sure,
And
but
then if they have to
we've
come
had
out,
the
they'll
same
do. But
family, Lori, under there for like 8 years, so they never go away. They just
that's
keep coming back.
cool. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, because they know it's a safe place, right? So they know
Yeah,
they're safe there. Yeah, that's
you know
cool.
how I am with
Yeah, that's
animals.
really
You know how I am with
yeah.
animals. Like
That's
no,
like
no one's getting near them.
no, seriously, I know that we're both a lot alike in that respect. Like I mean, I was living in a condo there, and even like, while Cecil was still alive, still living on the earth, he's alive. He's just in heaven. But when he was here with me on earth, um, I used to let these birds come on the balcony, and it was like a no-no. We weren't supposed to be doing it. I wouldn't feed them though, and I wouldn't give them any water because they needed to learn. They needed to look for their own water and food. I didn't want to like spoil that for them. So I would not put any food out on the balcony, no seeds, no nothing, right? Because there is enough out here for all the birds. They do get plenty. Um, and water, no problem, right? But it was just a safe place for them to be.
Mm-hmm.
And there's downtown. There's not a lot of critters. So I don't know. I didn't think I was doing all that bad of a thing. But they used to bust me every now and then with these birds, and they'd be
I
like,
remember.
"You,
I remember.
you need to got to get them off your balcony." I'm like, "Well, I love those birds," and I'm like, they had babies, and now the babies are learning how to fly, and when they fly, I'll make sure they don't come back, right? Well, sure enough, I'd be working or something, you know, because I was quite often working. There wasn't very many years that I didn't work, um, and before you know it, there would be more birds there and more eggs, and I was like, I'm not killing those eggs. I'm just not
No.
doing it.
No.
Like I don't believe in that. Like you know, I'm like, no, too bad. I'm gonna hide them. So I used to hide them. I had I had it all boxed off, and like almost like a little hutch over for them. You know what I mean? So that if it rained or whatever, they could stay dry under there, and it also kept other birds, predatory birds, away from them. So yeah, I used to fix it up,
Care of
and
them.
the guy, he'd be like, "I thought you said you're going to get rid of the birds," and I'd be like, "I did, but they came back." I said, "I have to work sometime. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, like not have a job, just stay here and be on the lookout for birds? Oh, there's a bird. You know what I mean?" And I said, as soon as they go, I'll get rid of them. You know what I mean? So yeah, they used to get so pissed off.
Too bad.
I cleaned it all up.
I know you did. You
And they
took good
weren't
care
bothering
of them.
me.
You took good care of them. You
Yeah,
made sure it
and I
was
mean,
always clean. So
yeah, I didn't like let them trash anything or anything like that.
no.
And it just was a safe place for them to be. And I thought, hey, I want somebody to do that for me. You know what I mean? As a person. So,
Mm-hmm.
they're God's creatures. So we're supposed to look out for them when we can. And I
Yep.
think it's a good thing. You know. So yeah. So yeah, I see some little creatures around downtown. Not very many cats and dogs because the animal control picks them up. Because they don't want them getting hit and run over. If they're on the loose, they can find out where they belong if they got a collar or a tattoo or whatever, or the little
Mm-hmm.
what do we call it? That transmitter thing, like a.
Chip.
We had our cats done like that. Yeah, the chip. Yeah,
Yeah.
just to make sure. So, rarely see cats and dogs running around without a human attached to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, which is good. It's really good because I
Mm-hmm.
don't. That's heartbreaking when you see cats that are just roaming. Like back in the old days, like when I was growing up in Albuquerque, you could. That's like what in the 70s. You could
Mm-hmm.
have cats and even dogs ran around. You know what I mean? But it wasn't so much dogs because dogs usually stayed in the backyard. There was a fence or whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
cats were always on the run.
Yeah.
And here it's not such a good idea.
No. Where we live, we don't have like a lot of cats or
No.
dogs running. Everybody keeps theirs in, but we're in a rural area. But when I go to work, um, in the town up there, there's a lot of cats. Matter of fact, we've had them come to our building several times, and I've actually found homes for several of them because I always feel so bad for them.
Oh.
But I know when I
Yeah.
pick Marine up, I mean, it's nothing for us to see 4, 5, 6 different cats. And Marine's not a big cat lover. She loves her dogs. She has beagles. She loves her beagles. And
Oh.
there's this one cat that always sits on her porch, and I'll be like, Marine, leave your cat in. She'll say, it's not my cat. And I'm always harassing her about cats all the time. I'm like,
It's not.
you're such a good cat, Mom. She just looks at me. She's like, you know my feelings. I'm not a cat lover. I love beagles, but I always have to agitate her. But this one cat,
Yeah.
he won't stay away from her. But I think because if she sees him, she is good to him, or she'll pet him, or she's out with a dog, she'll pet the cat. So I think the cat just
Yeah.
sees her as someone that he can trust or she can trust, and they go to her. But I keep teasing her and
Yeah.
saying, "You're going to make a lovely cat mother."
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, some people just are not into cats, and some people are allergic to them.
Yeah,
Um, and that's always a problem, right? But
yeah,
I've always had cats. I love cats. Yeah, I can't
me
have any
too.
pets where I'm at right now. I can only have a goldfish. That's it, a goldfish, and it can only be in a small bowl. You can't have no big tank for a
Oh wow.
goldfish, so it has to be a tiny little bit. Yeah, no, they don't want any pets here at all. No. That's okay. That's all right. I've
My
had plenty
daughter has
pets,
a
and like I
huge
said, when my little cat died.
Yeah. My daughter has a huge fish tank at her
What's that?
house. My daughter has a huge fish tank
Oh,
at her
cool.
house. It's like as long as I'm going to say like a dresser. Like it's long, it's big.
Oh, wow.
I always say to her, like, when I go, you can see like these fish in there. They're oh, I forget what they're called. And this one, he's huge. I mean, he looks like he has eyeballs. It's that big around. But she
Hmm.
always has. And the funniest thing is you would think like the water would be yucky or whatever. She must clean it all the time because her water is like crystal clear. It's always so clear. I
Hmm.
always think, you know, I've heard a lot of people say you really have to be intense with cleaning your fish tanks. So hers is always real clean. I'm always like, that's really cool. I don't know how I would be. I don't think I would be a fish person.
Yeah. No, me and Cecil had 10 tanks. And I
10
mean, we had
tanks.
literally 10 tanks, and they were all
Wow.
mostly 10-gallon tanks. And it was like, you were talking a hassle and a half, man. I mean, I loved the fish, they were beautiful. Um, I loved taking care of them, but I was always cleaning fish tanks
I
because
was gonna
he
say.
was working up north in the up in the oil, you know, way up in the Yukon, Northwest Territories, like way up there,
Mhm.
and he'd be gone like, you know 2 months, then back for 2 weeks, gone for a month and a half, back for a week, gone for 3 months, back for, you know what I mean? So I was
Mhm.
looking after these fish tanks, and it was just
Mhm.
this. I had this routine because they had to be cleaned all the time. It was just a real pain in the butt, and so I did one, and then the next day I'd do one or two, and then the next day I'd do these other ones over here, and then the next day I'd do these other ones. And by the time I got around to the last 10th one, it was time to do the other one again.
Yeah.
So I was
That's a lot of work.
always cleaning fish tanks. I was like, it is, and it's a pain in the butt, but they're beautiful. And we had this
Yeah.
one fish, we called him Fred, and he was like a little pink. His name was Fred. He
That's
was a
cute.
pink cichlid. Yeah, he was like a cichlid from South America, and he had to be in a little um, aquarium by himself
Mhm.
because they will kill any other fish. They're like piranhas, kind of like,
Oh
right?
wow, I didn't know
And
that.
so they're very charged oil. Cichlids, oh yeah, only cichlids, very very touchy fish. They love to eat other fish, and they have to be the boss. They
Oh
they
wow.
they harass all the other fish, even if they don't eat them. They harass them. They're no good with other fish, so they have to be by themselves. So this cichlid, he had his own little tank, and he loved it. And because Cecil really was the one who was into these fish, even though I did most all
Mhm.
the cleaning. He bought this fish some colored plastic cool aquarium rocks, and they were clear, and they were all different colors, like red, green, blue, pink, yellow, orange, and they were big, like a decent size, probably like an
Mhm.
inch, by
Mhm.
1 inch by 1 inch. Looking, and they had this neat little design, like, so they were pretty, right?
Mhm.
And this fish every day would rearrange his rocks into whatever color group he wanted to.
Oh wow.
Like sometimes, like sometimes like there was like three blue, three green. You know what I mean? And he would put the blues over here one day and the oranges over here, and the pinks over here. And then the next day I'd come say hi to him, I'd feed him, I'd be like, "Hey Fred, how you doing?" And he'd have the yellow ones up front, and
Oh
he'd have
wow.
like the red ones back behind. So he totally rearranged his place
I didn't
every
know they
single
did
day.
that.
Yeah, and he was totally aware of color and everything because he had them all color coordinated, and he knew his name. I'd be like, "Hey, Fred," and he totally knew his name. He was very smart. He was a beautiful fish. I loved him very much. Um, yeah, he was a cool fish. I was sad when he died. So we had him for about 3 years,
Oh
and
wow. That's a
he was
long
he was a
time.
cool fish. Yeah, yeah,
My
because
granddaughter
some of them will
won.
live a little bit long, but
Yeah. My son and daughter-in-law took my granddaughter and grandson to a carnival. Well, my granddaughter won a fish, a goldfish, and they took it home and it probably lived like 4 years, but they called it sushi.
oh,
And you would give that fish like fish
sushi.
food, it wouldn't eat it. But if he would take little pieces of bread and ball it up and throw it in, the fish would eat the bread. And I'm like, get the hell out of here. But that fish, it was like real tiny. And the next thing you know, it's like this big. It's like, holy man. I didn't
Yeah,
know they got that big.
yeah. Some of those goldfish will get huge. Oh yeah. Some of those goldfish will live like for 5, 7 years. No
Oh
kidding.
wow.
See, we had a couple of goldfish that lived like 7 years. I mean, a long time. They were huge. They were massive. They had one
Yeah. I had a friend that
of them
had
had
koi
to have its
fish.
own tank because there was no room for anybody else.
I had a friend that had koi fish in
Oh,
a
they're
pond
cool.
outside.
Yeah,
They were so pretty.
yeah. They are beautiful. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that would be nice to have a pond
Mm-hmm.
with koi. Yeah, I love fish. Like I absolutely love having them around. I just I don't want to put one little fish in a little tank here because to me that's torture. You're not
Yeah.
allowed to have a decent sized tank like where you have air filtration and all this. It has to be just a little bowl, one little fish. I'm like, I'm not doing that to fish.
That would be hard.
Yeah. So, but they are cool. Yeah, beautiful. Hmm. You remember? I think I told you about that story since we're talking about fish. Um, when I moved from that I moved. This was years ago, many years ago. Long, like 20 years ago, or more, 23 years ago. We had this fish. It was a Siamese fighting fish, and
Mhm.
um, I was moving from like a sort of a townhouse and back downtown to a condo downtown. Not the
Mhm.
one I was living in with Cecil, but another one that was just across the road. And I had gotten everything over there. It was a big job to move, and because Cecil was really sick and he couldn't help move, so I did have some people help me move the big stuff. But man, it took a while to
Mhm.
get it all done. And we had all these fish tanks. We had like 10 fish tanks to move. So that was the last little fish tank, and so I was kind of some of the last things I was coming to get. But couldn't do it at one night. I got home too late to go back over there because I had to work the next day or whatever. So I had to leave that fish there, and unfortunately, so I made sure I had lots of food. You know what I mean? And I told it I was like, I'm coming back for you. Don't panic. It's okay. But that night went by. The next day, because I couldn't get back over there till after work. So it was like the evening when I got back over there, and it was all dark because all the lights were out. And the fish was probably like looking around, going, it was all empty, like the place was empty. And I think he thought he had been left there by himself. And I think he was heartbroken. You know what I mean? Because he probably thought they left me. Oh. And so as soon as I got in and went into the living room where he was, and I was looking into his little house, and he jumped. He jumped like, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. And I'm like, I'm here. Don't worry. I'm here. I came for you. He was
Aw.
so happy. I know, because I think he thought that he was getting left behind,
Aw.
And I mean, no way would I leave my fish behind. I love that
No.
fish. Yeah, that was Cecil's fish, but I love that little fish. And to be honest with you, I can't remember its name, but I'm sure it had one because Cecil named all of the pets. Yeah, Fred and all these other funny names. And that little fish, man, he was so happy. And so I took. So when we got into back to the new place we were living in, I got him all set up. Man, I cleaned his tank. It's all beautiful and everything, and he was all happy. He was just sitting there, just going, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? Poor
they
little
brought me back.
fish. They're smart. They are smart. Don't let
Animals
anybody
are
tell you that
smart.
they
We get
are.
so many
They
people,
know.
like Lexi and Logan will post on Facebook like about animals. A lot of people, they're like, they're stupid. And it's like, I don't want to be rude, but animals are not stupid.
Mhm.
My boy, he
That's right.
knows sign language. I can do every command with him through
That's
sign
right.
language. I can make him sit, stay, come, roll over. I can go like a signal with my
Yeah.
hand, like bang, he's dead, and he'll fall over and roll over. Like he is not, he's very intelligent.
That's cool.
And I had different people say, "You didn't teach that dog sign language." And I'm like, I can make him do anything you want him to do. I said, just by a
Hmm.
command, like with my hands. But I'll tell you, I did that with him because of Lee. With Lee being deaf,
Hmm.
Lee used to do things with Otis. So I was like, hey, when we got this puppy, I'm going to teach him everything. And I don't know if Otis
Hmm.
actually did sign, but I did it more because of Lee. But I can make him do anything just through, like sign language. And a lot of people, they're like, that's not
Hmm.
true. But I did a video one day
It
and
is
I
true.
showed Lee, and Lee was like, how the hell did you do that? And I'm like, I worked with him from the time I got him. And I'm like, now within, I'm going to say 6
Hmm.
months, he knew everything.
Oh
He's
yeah,
smart.
they're smart. They are really smart. No kidding. I know people don't think rabbits are very smart. Rabbits are smart, man. That little bunny that I got, my little sunshine bunny,
Mm-hmm.
he was
Oh, with
smart.
the
He
heart.
was really smart.
Didn't he have a
Yeah, he
heart?
had the heart on his back.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He was white and he had this one little, like almost like a dark brown heart on his back. He
Yeah, I
was
remember
so
that.
cute. He was the sweetest little bunny. I called him my sunshine bunny because he was a little ray of sunshine, and
Aw.
he was smart, man. I just brought him home. I didn't know what to do with the bunny. I didn't even know how to look after a bunny, and I asked the manager in the suite there if I could, because I already had two cats, and I was like, can I just have one more pet? I just want one. This is it. This is all. They were like, well, you are good with your animals, so
You are.
we'll let you have the bunny, but you don't get any more. That's it. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll cut off at the bunny. That's it. And so I made it a nice pen and everything, like a rabbit hutch, and
Mm-hmm.
not a crappy little thing. Like it was like a little house for him, and he was all happy. But he potty trained himself. I
Yeah.
put down a cat litter box with him because the cats had theirs, and I thought, okay, Bunny's got to have his own, and I just popped him in there, and he just figured it out. That's where he went to the
Mm-hmm.
bathroom. So
They're
yeah,
smart.
he potty trained himself. I didn't even do it, and he was really smart. He knew when it was time to go to bed, and he knew like because I would just tell him bedtime, Bunny, you got to go to bed, and I'd point over where his hutch was, and he knew, and he'd stomp his feet because he didn't want to go because that's their sign for no. That like thumper, he'd stomp his little feet like no, and I'd go, you got to go to bed, and he'd be like, thump thump thump, and he'd take off and he'd run and jump in his house, and he'd throw me dirty looks, and I'd be like, well, I'm sorry, buddy, but we all have to go to bed. and he was cute, man. He was
Yeah.
smart. Yes, very
That's
smart.
with my dogs.
Mhm.
All I have to do is say we're going to go to bed, buddy. They're up the steps and they're each in their little beds. Cat has his bed.
They
Like
know.
they do. Or if somebody is walking, because like I said, we live rurally. If somebody's walking, he'll look outside and I'll say to him, "Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't you do it." And he'll keep looking at me. And then he'll like keep looking over his shoulder, and then finally I'll say, okay, do it. And then he'll start barking because he just wants to bark at everybody walking by. But like, he's so
Yeah,
smart. He knows, like, when you tell him, he knows what you're saying. They all do, really.
he is. They are. Well, they all are. They all
Yeah.
are.
But I had somebody recently say to me, dogs are stupid. And I'm like, no, they're not. They are very intelligent. I said, no way. I can say to mine,
Hmm.
they know their boundaries. And when they're outside, they know exactly where they can go and where they can't go.
Hmm.
It's like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah,
they know, they're smart. But, some people,
that's right.
everybody's different. Everybody has their own opinions, but I believe they are very intelligent.
They are. They're absolutely smart. That's the thing. I mean, dogs have saved children from fires.
Mhm.
Dogs have ran in and saved babies from fires and stuff. You can't tell me that an animal is dumb if they're going to
Look
go
at
in and save a
Otis.
child from fire.
Look at Otis. A few years ago, he saved Lee's life. The house next door
Yeah.
was on fire and she was sleeping.
Hmm.
He got right up on her chest and he kept hitting her on the chest until he woke her up. She looked up and she seen the flash because she can't hear it.
Right.
So in her apartment, it
Yeah, 'cause she's
flashes
deaf.
the red. She knows to get out. He woke her
That's
up. He
right.
saved Lee's life.
Yeah.
She never heard
See,
it.
that's that's the
Another
thing.
time, her and I was on the phone, and he was barking, and she kept saying to him, "Go lay down, go lay down." And finally, because she reads, like when I'm talking, she'll read what I'm saying. Finally, I said, "Lee,
Right.
I hear a fire truck in the background." And he kept going over to her, and he would like hit her and go to the door, hit her and go to the door. Finally, she looked out the
Hmm.
window, and there was a fire across the street. So he knew,
Hmm.
he was very
Oh yeah,
intelligent.
they are. They're really smart, no doubt.
Yeah.
And there's been cases where, like a dog has been, a family moved and the dog got out, and then they couldn't stay. They just had to keep going, and so they hit the road. 120 miles up the road, some other town, and the dog finds them.
Mm-hmm.
There's been cases of that. How? There's no scent. It's not like they're going to pick up the
No.
scent anywhere on the road like that. So they're just smart, and I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
And I
I
mean,
know.
they do some silly things, but so do
Yeah.
people.
Yeah. I know the other day, Logan, she was on there. She was fighting with somebody. They made a comment rudely about a dog, and she's on there and like she's arguing like back and forth with this
Oh,
person.
yeah.
And finally, I just said to her, I'm like, I'm not being smart, but there are people that are just idiots. And, they're just probably doing it to either be
Right.
smart to you, to be rude to you, or they're just a plain butthead. She's like, I know, but I'm not having somebody tell me something I know. And I'm like, I know, but on social media, sometimes you just can't win. It's better just to overlook it and let it go. I know right
Yeah,
now,
that's true.
it's going to be like local elections within our community, like for supervisors for townships or like a mayor or like council. We also have things coming
Hmm.
up for the school board. I'm not a big fan of social media anyway, but especially for myself. But these people, they're on there and they're literally fighting. And I'm like, what the
Yeah.
hell are you fighting for? Like, you're supposed to. Politics to me are you have an opinion, you stand by what you believe, and you try to pick the best possible person to represent the community, the school district, whatever. That person
Hmm.
might not be in your party. So you may have to look outside your party. These people are literally like fighting, tearing each other down, calling each other names. There's smear campaigns going on. And I'm
Oh
laughing and
yeah.
I'm like, we're in a school district that, I mean, we don't have that many kids in our
Pretty
district
sad.
that you people are on here tearing people down for what purpose? You know what I mean? Like, what purpose? This is like a
Right.
small town election. It's not like it's something big. They're literally on there. I mean, they will literally tear each other apart. And I'm like, I don't understand why you just can't, I don't know, be normal. Stop fighting like children on social media, back and forth. I'll tell you what, back when it was the election and it was Biden and then he stepped down and Harris got in and then Trump, I'm telling you right now, I hated social media. If they would tell me to like get on and do like a post or whatever, I couldn't stand
Mm-hmm.
it because it was, um, like each one was like, you got Sleepy Joe and then you got racist Trump. And I'm like, wait a minute, you don't even know these people. You're just saying the most meanest, hateful things. And I'm like, I know, for example, because just like myself working on the registry, if I talk to Democrats, it was like, you're a racist. If I talk to Republicans, you're a
Oh,
baby
I
killer.
know.
And it's like, what the
That's
fuck?
crazy.
Like you
You're
you
just
people
trying to
are
get
nuts.
you're just trying to get a bill passed.
Yeah. I mean,
To
and then
benefit children, to try to save children's lives. I mean, come on.
and but the bad part about
That's
it
sad.
was you had the Republicans, and some of them didn't make no sense because some of them were like, okay, you're a baby killer or you're racist, and then the Democrats would be like, well, you're a baby killer, and I'm thinking, you guys are so stupid because you say the same damn things about each other. It
Yeah,
doesn't make any sense
exactly.
to me. You're calling me the same names they are. They're calling me the same names you are. And the thing is, people, you're stupid because it's going to take both parties to get this done. And I used to get
Mhm.
so mad. Oh my God, Lori, when I get mad, I'd be like, that's stupid.
Yeah,
You
it
know?
gets irritating. We just had an election up here for our for our government, for the prime minister, because Trudeau is gone. And
Oh, that's right. I forgot
you
about that.
know, oh yeah, we had our, but this was for our big top leader of Canada, right? So I mean, it was nasty, and I
I
mean,
bet.
I
I
just
bet.
avoid the nastiness. Absolutely,
Yeah.
I don't get involved in it. I'm
No,
not playing the
well,
game.
no, I
It's
don't get online and I don't argue. I don't fight.
I'm not going to
Um,
bash people.
No, I know who I'm going to vote for. I know why I'm going to vote for that person, and I just kind of let
Mhm.
it be at that. I'm not going to get on there and bash somebody, but there's two different
No,
people running
there's no point.
for school district, and I like both people, but the one woman, I think that she has much better plans. She has integrity, but there's like this smear campaign going on, and I'm just like, this is
Of course.
ridiculous. We are a small community, and you're literally trying to smear one person's name in the mud. And something
Yeah, it's
because
correct.
she's affiliated with a particular group and they don't like this group. And I'm like, you don't make any sense because you're not worried about who's best for the job. You're worried about who's connected to who or what group they're in or what organization they're in, or small towns are all about, oh, I want my family to be popular. I want my family to be popular. And it's like, who the hell cares? We're in a town of 3,000 people. Like, who the hell really
Mhm.
cares? So
It's just, I don't know. I think it's just, it brings out the worst in people. It really
it
does.
does. It
And I
really
guess it's
does.
because it's so heated. People are
Yeah.
so like, and I understand. I guess I can sort of see why. It's you know, it get this is not. It's kind of like, okay, it's not like voting for your favorite actor or actress
No.
where the outcome doesn't really matter. These people are going to be running the show, and so one group, doesn't like the other group, and they're going to
Mm-hmm.
do everything they can to try to run them into the ground. The
Yeah.
other group is doing the exact same thing to them, and then there's some group in the middle. Both are doing that to them,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, I mean, I see why, but it's really stupid.
Yeah.
To me, it's a waste of valuable time. I don't even get involved in that because
I,
the whole idea is, you have the freedom to choose. You have the
yeah.
freedom to vote for who you feel is going to do the best job in
Yeah.
representing the people, and that's your choice, right?
Yeah.
So, but the candidates, man, I'm telling you, they go through the rigmarole because as soon as their name is listed as in the running, it's a smear campaign on all of them.
Oh,
Everybody's
yeah.
going to try to get everybody. So I wouldn't even. I mean, yeah, the idea of government and even local government would be great. I know because I've even said stuff to you, Donna, like, oh, you should run or you should do this because I think you would be really good. But you want to talk about your headaches. You got to be
Mm-hmm.
prepared then for every kind of BS, bullshit,
Yep.
stupidity coming out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
No.
That's what you have to ask yourself.
I was actually asked to run
Sorry,
for
I just tell
the
it like it
school
is.
board. Well, don't you remember a couple months ago I said that they had come to me and asked me to run for the school board? And I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm going to think about it. And then I remember saying to you, I'm not that stupid because, I mean, we have enough people saying things about us already. So I really don't need the whole entire community, like dumping on
yeah.
me.
It's too
But
bad because you'd be great on the board, but
I, you know, I
it's only
gave
a
them a
certain
lot
one you
of
can.
ideas over the years as to what to do to make the district better. They don't want to, they don't really want change. And the bad part is the area we live in, it's so small. So we get
Mm,
basically one person from our area to represent. That's only one vote. There's still 7
mm-hmm.
other people. So one vote's not going to change. It's not going to really make a difference. I've gone to school
Yeah,
board meetings. I've testified. I've said, like I said, I've given them different ideas. I know when the hospital was having a lot of problems here, this was going back 2 and 3 years ago. I was meeting with all the different representatives and stuff, and I actually said to the person that was in charge of the hospital at the time, I'm like, why don't you try to get federal funding? Bring the veterans in, open like an NA program, open an AA
mm-hmm.
program. I says, and like do the therapy for them and the treatment for them. And I'm telling you, if you get federal funding, you're never going to lose your funding. Nope, nope, nope. That'll never work. That'll never work. So somebody said to me the other day, he's like, I have an idea. And I said, okay. And he's like, I think if we did it, we could go for federal funding. And I'm like, look, they ain't going to do it because I told them 2 or 3 years ago to do it. I said, the thing
Yeah,
is everybody, they want to be in charge and they want to make all the decisions. They don't want to hear what anybody else has to say. They would rather see the
yeah,
hospital in jeopardy than just take some advice from somebody else and say, hey, that might be a great idea. That might work. But here, everybody's so
right.
headstrong. They want to be,
That's
they
sad.
want to be perfect. They want to be in charge. They want to know everything. I mean, everybody in this community is like a know-it-all. They know everything, but they don't do a damn thing, if you know what I mean.
I think
They
that's how it is
do.
most places. You know what I mean?
Like everybody wants
Not
to
just
have an
your community.
opinion. But they do.
Yeah.
Like they all want to have opinion and they want to voice that opinion. They want to be hard and in charge. But then when it comes time to do the work, nobody wants to do the work. They just want you to hand it to them so that it's already done. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
everything I've ever done in my lifetime, you have to do the work to get it done. But I'm
Yeah,
like, hey,
that's
I
right.
told you 2 and 3 years ago what to do to get federal funding, and you didn't want to do it. So don't come to me now with your bullshit.
Yeah,
Move on.
that's right. No, it's just sad. It's just too bad. You know,
It is. You know
it
what's
is
so
what it is.
bad
You know.
is the community is, I don't want to say you're friends with everyone in the community, but you're a community, and a lot of people's family and friends and acquaintances or your coworkers, because a small town, everybody's kind of like all lumped into one big thing. What I don't understand
Mm-hmm.
is how you can just take another person and slander them and put them down and say things that's not true to fit your own agenda. I just, I don't believe in
Yeah, it's
that.
not
I don't
right.
believe in running people down. Even myself, some of the things that's been said about me. People's hated me. I've had people call me an illiterate
Oh yeah,
orangutan. They don't want the central registry
that's terrible.
open. I mean, I've had all kinds of things said, but my point is why run me down for something I believe in? Like,
Yeah.
what's the point? What's the point in running me down because I want to protect children? What's the point in that?
Well,
That's what
it's
I don't
just.
understand.
I think they're just looking for somebody to run down. I think you're just one in the crowd. Um, it's
I
just
know,
like
but
me.
just like,
If somebody starts,
but here we are
people
with,
just like to do that. They love to slander people, and they love to bring people down instead of lifting people up.
yeah,
The more they can bring people down, the happier they are.
yeah.
And there's a lot of that going around.
Well, we have this itty bitty little town, and we're having this election, and people are just like literally taking friends, family, neighbors, and just running them right down in the mud. And it's like, those people
Yeah.
have families and they have children, and not just that, you're just
That's right.
basically saying the most rudest, ignorant things you can. what about when the election's over and you go somewhere where this person works, or you go somewhere after this
That's right.
person does come in and get elected? Then what? And it's like, I just think that I just don't think that you should mistreat people. I don't know. I'm all about respect for people, integrity. And
That's
from
right.
what I'm seeing
That's
online
exactly
right now, there's no respect and no integrity. Everybody's just running
no.
their
That's
mouths,
right.
slandering people. And it's like, what
Mhm.
if it's worth like ruining someone's reputation over a small town thing for to be on council or to be on a township? We don't have like a council, we have, or a borough. We are ours is more like it's like a board. We have 5 people that represent the community. Usually you only ever see
Mhm.
3 of them, but again, we're in a rural area, so it's a township.
Right.
But then if you move on up to the next town, then you have the mayor, and then you have the council members. And but I mean, you're sitting there and you're running people down. And I think like if you sit on the council or something, you make $100 a month. So is it worth slandering somebody over $100? I don't want to be rude, but $100 to buy me
Serious.
sometimes lunch. Like seriously,
Not gonna get you very much.
it costs
No.
me.
And the thing is like,
If me and my
yeah,
friends go out
it's
to
it's
lunch
like,
at work, it costs more than $100. Like, so you're slandering somebody for $100 friggin'.
yeah. And the thing is you gotta live in that town with those people after that.
Well,
Like you were saying, how's that gonna work? You know?
yeah,
And then what
they
you're gonna have
put
is
on
hurt
board.
feelings for a long time. No, there's no reason for that. There's no reason for it whatsoever. I'm
No,
not getting involved in all that shit. I've been sitting
no.
on a lot of chat rooms for people doing live streams and whatnot because there's quite a few people I follow on YouTube, and it's mostly to get world news stuff because I am following all that. And some the stuff that goes on is just unbelievable. It's like um, the trashing that's going on of
Yeah,
various figures, various politicians, world leaders, doesn't matter. Everybody's got, you know, the hate on for people right now.
yeah.
You know, it sort of seems like, um, is it really necessary? Not really,
No,
because it's not helping anything, right?
no.
Um, some people would say, well, it makes me feel better if I can get out my frustrations and say what I want to say about these
Yeah,
people.
but
You know,
don't you remember last week when I said to you that Lexi had messaged me and asked me to get online because I had someone from within my community say that the letter that we got from Josh Shapiro was not true and correct. It looked generic. It
mhm.
looked fake. I'm sorry, but when you get a letter in the mail, you can't fake it when it has the big emblem on the top of it that says his name,
That's
you know?
exactly right. That is a
And
legitimate letter.
and the
Yeah.
email that, and then the follow-up email that I got, again, that was directly from his office. This person was on
Yeah.
there fighting with Lexi, saying that it wasn't real and this, that, and the other. So she said, would you get on and please say something? And I literally get on there and I said, I called that office. I tried to schedule an appointment. I had to send an email. He didn't want to sit down with us. He didn't want to hear what I had to say. This is the letter that I got in response. He argued with
That's
me.
right.
He told me it was not a real email. And I'm like, okay, the letter wasn't real. I'm like, okay, if you say so, it wasn't, but it was. And he's like, well, you should have did this and you should have did that. And I'm like, I did everything that I had to do. When you call somebody and you try to schedule an appointment and they don't want to sit down with you, I'm not kissing his ass to schedule an appointment with me. And then when I do
No.
what they tell
Yeah.
me to do and go to the official website of his and fill in and do the little email thing online, and they will
Mm-hmm.
respond. When they respond back, I did exactly what they told me to do. When someone doesn't want to
Right.
sit down with me and I get a letter and an email saying that, I'm not going to kiss their ass to meet with them because they're not
No.
interested. But to have somebody
That's
on
right.
there saying this is not a legit email, this is not a legit letter. This person argued with me. Finally, I got pissed off and I'm like, look, I'm not going back and forth. It's over. It's done. He said no. He did not want to meet with me. This is the letter I got in response. If you like it, cool. If you don't, get the hell off the page because I'm not going to fight with you all
Mm-hmm.
day long. This is crazy. Finally, he's like, well, if you're going to be that way. And it's like, I'm going to be that way. I'm not the one on there freaking fighting with me for the last 2 hours. 2 hours I spent on
Exactly.
arguing with this person.
It's
And then
stupid.
there was another guy from my community. He jumps on and he says, well, you know, he was the general attorney. And I'm like, I don't give a shit what the hell he was. He didn't want to meet with me. I'm not kissing the dude's ass. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not. Whatever. End of story. He says, well,
right.
you'll never get it passed. And I said, well, bud, we already got a sponsor. I said, apparently you're not paying attention to what's going on because we got a sponsor, Aaron Bernstein. You don't have to
That's
tell me
right.
nothing about that guy. He's a Republican and I hate Republicans. I'm like, okay, whatever. I says, well, you do understand it's going to take both
Who cares?
parties to get this passed? No, it doesn't. I'm like, you people know
Oh,
nothing about
they
getting
just
along.
don't know.
No,
That's
but
right.
I'll tell you, they want to fight with you and they want to run their mouths, but they have no clue what's going on. No clue.
They
It's just
don't know.
crazy.
Exactly. But they're going to argue with you. Right.
Oh, yeah. He
Because they
did.
think that they know, but they don't.
Well,
You know,
he
if
did.
you don't know
And I
about something, there's no shame
literally
in
had
that.
to boot him.
Go find out.
Yeah. I literally had to boot him off the page and block him. I'm like, dude, you're not going to come on our page and fight. And then she's like, well,
Yeah.
what if he does another profile? I said, well, if anybody, like adds another profile, I said, you'll be able to tell when it's him because he just wants to fight. But I'm like,
If he's
this
going
one
to
was,
say the same crap, exactly.
yeah. I'm like, the one I knew, and he likes to argue with everybody. So I kind of knew he just wanted to argue. I'm like, but the second person from my community, it was like, come on, dude, like 2 of you in one day, like what's the problem? But the problem is they want to nitpick, but you're picking over because somebody that's a Republican now wants to, take this before the House. What the hell does it matter who takes it before the House as long as we're protecting children?
Exactly.
Who cares?
That's right.
No,
Shouldn't even matter.
No, but
It shouldn't matter. It's like
he
whatever.
wanted,
Whoever wants to take it, that's fine.
He just basically
I don't
wanted to
understand
fight. And then when the second guy hopped on and he started, I was like, okay, yep, bye, gotta go. I said to her, I don't know how you do it, but block them.
Yeah. Well, that's what I do, but
Yeah.
only seriously. I mean, I don't do it all the time. It's really only if I am really trying to protect myself.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know me. I've blocked people in the past just out of my own stupidity. But I'm talking like I will block people for my own security and my own well-being. Like if I think somebody is seriously trying to bother me for whatever reason, they're just gone. It's like bye.
Yeah.
I have no problem doing it because my peace of mind is really important.
Yes.
I've got peace in my walls, peace in my heart, peace in my life. In this world that is so not peaceful, I've got peace. So I've got the peace of Jesus Christ, right? Because I'm a Christian. Yeah. You're a Christian. We're Christians. We don't we don't talk about it all the time here, but we are. And I got the peace of the Lord. So I don't need somebody coming in trying to ruin my peace.
No.
And I wouldn't block them if I thought that they weren't going to continue to harass me. I don't mind a one-time argument type thing where somebody just has words. They're grumpy. They're like, I don't like this, blah, 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 whatever. That's fine. I can deal with that because I got big shoulders. But if somebody's going to keep coming at me, I'm like, bye-bye, bye-bye.
Yeah.
See ya.
He just kept arguing.
Time
and
for
I'm
that.
like,
time
I'm like,
life.
Yeah, well, I'm like, I answered your questions. So why are you still like arguing? And then he's saying, well, this isn't a legitimate letter. This isn't a legitimate email. This isn't. And I'm just like, okay, well, I'm sure I don't have a big emblem that, like has his information on. I mean, where would I get it? Let's be real. I'm like, whatever. I just said, I'm like, finally. And then the second guy, he jumps on. And the second guy, I like him and I even respect him because he supports us as advocates to protect children. But then when he started like questioning, I'm just like, don't you start your shit now. Like, I'm not dealing with you today. And then I kind of just was like, that's it. I'm not going back and forth. It's over. Just move on. But the first guy, he needed blocked, and he got blocked.
Mm-mm.
I'm one of them people.
No,
Like,
because that's
sorry,
just
not
somebody who
sorry.
wants to fight.
Yeah, he wanted an
Yeah,
argument.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to ruin your peace. It's just because they've got no peace. It's because they're all in an uproar, in a flame of some sort of fire and smoke, and they can't see clear of it. You know what I mean? So they just have to keep
Mm-hmm.
bitching and griping at people. It's like, go find somebody else to bother. That's
Yeah.
always my answer. It's like,
Yeah.
go bother somebody else. Somebody who really cares, because I don't.
I know, but
I'm
I look at it
sorry.
like this:
I've got
is
better things to do.
we are 3 women, and we're doing everything within our power to protect kids. At the end of the day, that's the truth.
That's
We
right.
do everything in our power to protect kids.
That's right.
And we're not out there saying anything that's negative about anybody. We're out there stating facts. We're telling the truth. Like, I don't
That's right.
understand what the big deal is to try to attack people for trying to do the right thing and protect children. You would just think, now this is just me, you would just think that protecting children would be a natural thing, that everybody would just want to protect children, but they don't.
You would think so.
They
But
literally
there's many
don't.
people out there that don't. No.
No.
And just think,
No.
and when I see somebody who is blatantly trying to stop advocates from protecting children, it just tells me, like, what kind of a predator is that person, whether it's
Exactly.
no matter what whether they're female, male, or whatever. If you know, somebody who thinks that it's a bad idea to protect children, or trying to stop advocates from doing their work to try to stop and prevent child abuse, especially, or sex trafficking, or any of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you sit there and think about who these people are. I mean, ICE and all them, I mean, they bust so many people all the time, thousands and thousands of people on these rings, child pornography rings, and child sex trafficking rings.
Yeah, they
And
do.
for every 10,000 that they take down, there's another 20,000 behind them that come up to take their place. So there are a lot of awful, awful, evil people out there.
Yes.
And it always makes me wonder, just a little bit, just question, like, why would somebody say that saving a child's life is not a good thing? Why would somebody say that protecting children is not a good thing? Because they want to harm children. Pretty much, that has to be it. Because you can't tell me any normal. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Any person who has compassion in their heart, I don't care whether you're male, female, however you identify, doesn't matter to me. You're a person on the planet, a human being, and you got compassion in your heart, love and care for other human beings and other animals. I mean, maybe, maybe not as much as somebody else, but you still do care.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why you wouldn't want children protected and saved from abuse and from all this horrible stuff that happens to children all the time?
Yeah.
What would be the purpose of saying? Because I think a lot of people think, well, there was that whole thing of, okay, if the government gets too much control and says, and too much of a hand in it, then parents won't have any control on the government. Basically, then becomes the parent. That's not what we're about at all.
No, that's not what we're seeking.
No, not at all. What we're trying to do is raise awareness, change laws to make, the time fit the crime. You know what I mean? The stiffer penalties, and like monitoring people who have been found guilty, convicted, 100%, no error of a doubt that this person is guilty of assaulting or hurting or harming a child or children, and is now doing time. When they get out, they have to register, and they have to there's certain things that they have to do after they're released from fulfilling their sentence and they're out
Mm-hmm.
of prison. There's certain things they have to do, and registering is one of them. And it's
Yes.
like this law will just really solidify a lot of things to help protect children.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why not? I think it's a great idea. It's not
I
to
do.
try to keep people from getting jobs or anything like that. The issue is if somebody, it's about education and keeping yourself
Mm-hmm.
safe. For instance, let's say, I mean, my big thing is single women, because single women, I remember when my sister was divorced, she was raising her daughter, who was just young, 7 years old when they divorced. And here she is looking at this life of, wow, okay, do I let men into my life? Do I let somebody into the home?
Mm-hmm.
Do I get into a relationship with somebody now? Um, you know, 2 years, 5 years after this divorce, seriously, I mean, she's sitting there thinking, oh my God, who would I be bringing in to my home?
It's
Um, who would have opportunity to hurt my child? And she thought about it and she said, no relationships until my niece was grown up and
yeah.
able to look after herself. Now that's a sacrifice my sister made.
That
The
is a
thing is,
sacrifice.
is you know, if everybody would do that, there'd be a whole lot less children being abused. You know what I'm saying? But the thing
Mm-hmm.
is like, not everybody's going to do that. There's
No.
many people, single women who have several children, one child, two children. Who cares? They got children, and they want multiple partners, and they're letting all these people come around their children, and they don't know who these people are. You know what I mean? And does it even matter to them that their children possibly may be being sexually abused or being physically abused in some way? Maybe being involved in some sort of child pornography situation, internet crimes against children. I mean, seriously. And there's so
Do you know
many
what
people out there in the world that don't care. They just don't
you know what
care.
gets me the most is you have a mother and she will get with a boyfriend, and this has been in the news recently a lot, and I mean a lot. She'll have a boyfriend, he will abuse her child, kill her child, or he will sexually
Hmm.
assault her child, and she will stand by that man over her own kid. I will
Oh yeah,
never
for
understand
sure.
that, never in a million
Yep.
years. The one case
It's in
I
the
read the
news
other
right now. If anybody wants to go check it out, there's a big
yeah,
case. Mhm.
I just read the other day, because you know how I do the opinion piece, like I read the article and then I give my opinion as to what I think. Anyway, um,
Hmm.
this one was a mother and she was with this guy and she had a 2-year-old and he was abusing the child. He killed the child. They put the child's body in a little plastic container, like a tote, like you would store something in your attic, and they put it in the garage. And they went on living. Several
Yeah,
months, and then it got to be years
there's
down
a
the
lot of
line.
that going on.
All of a
Hmm.
sudden, somebody says, "Hey, this kid hasn't been seen in like what an excessive amount of time." And then all of a sudden, they start investigating, and here they find out that the mother knew that it killed the child. And then another case that really gets me is the one in Lycoming County in Pennsylvania, where the mother was getting her daughter drunk and
Yeah,
making her dress very provocative so that her boyfriend could have sex with her. I don't even think the girl was a
it's just
teenager.
sick.
I think she was actually under 13 years old. And I'm like, it
Yeah,
doesn't
it's just
matter if
sick.
you're under or not, but I'm just saying it just goes to show how young
Yeah,
the child is. But
it's awful.
and she went to court and she's acting like she didn't do anything wrong. And I'm like, you are one sick fug. I'm sorry, but you
Hmm.
are, because who does that to their child? You sacrifice your child so that this man is with you. This man isn't with you because he wants you. He's with you because he wants access to your child. But you're too stupid to
Hmm.
see that. Like,
Yeah,
what the hell is wrong with people? Like, what aren't you
I don't
seeing?
know.
Like, that's what gets
I
me.
don't
It's
get
like
it.
you sacrifice your own child for a man that don't want you. He wants your access to your child. Or how do
Hmm.
you allow someone to beat, torture, and kill your child and just go on like your child never existed? I
Oh
can't.
yeah,
I will
they
tell
don't
you what.
care.
I have grandchildren, and Lori, when they're here visiting and they leave, or I'm at their house and I leave to come home, I'm literally crying because I feel so bad just leaving them. And they only live a short distance, but I'm literally crying because I
That's
feel
how much
so
you love your
bad.
grandkids.
Yeah,
Seriously.
I think the other
Yeah, I
day
know.
after I dropped off my one grandchild, I called you. I was on my way home, and I'm literally like crying, like, "Oh my God, I feel so bad." Blah blah blah, and you like every time do this little pep talk with me, and always make me feel better. But like I'm literally heartbroken leaving them for a short time. And I know I'm going to see
Yeah.
them within the next week, either through sports or visits, or we do a family dinner. Like, I know I'm going to see them, but it
Because
literally
you
breaks
care
my
about them.
heart because
You
I
love
love
your
them
grandchildren.
so much. And to
That's
know that
right.
somebody can literally let someone abuse, sexually assault, or kill their child, and they don't care. Like,
No,
I don't get it. I honest to God, I will
no, there's
never.
much of the world that absolutely does not care. And,
No.
it's sad. It's really sad. Like as a survivor myself, I sit there and I think, what would be good for people who are actually found so guilty beyond any reasonable doubt? Because there's literally every kind of proof you can think of. I would say, just plain and simple, it's execution style. Seriously, bullet to the head, right? That's
We
so
went,
cheap. Then we don't have to pay for these idiots in prison, and they don't get
yeah,
to sit
20,
back and
30
get free
years.
square meals a day and TV and get to hang out and have their sex buddies there in the prison system. And no, just a bullet to the head would really solve the problem right there. No
Somebody else said
taxpayer money
that.
going out. I'm so for it. It's not even funny. I mean, back in the old days, it would have been a hanging, a public hanging,
Mhm.
which is people would say is much more better, but I don't think so. I think a bullet to the head would be much more kinder. But
Think
the
of other
thing is
countries.
like they don't deserve to live. They don't.
Think of other countries.
It's like they take. It's
It,
sick.
if you're in another country and you steal, they chop off a hand. You steal
Oh
again,
yeah,
they chop off the other hand. Like,
especially the
how are
Middle
you going to
East,
feed
like
yourself when
Saudi
you don't have
Arabia.
any hands? How are you going to work? How are you going to do anything? So,
Yeah.
if crimes were stiffer, I am a person, I hate plea deals. I think if you know that somebody has hurt a child or killed a child or abused a child, sexually assaulted a child, you don't give a little plea deal where you smack them on the wrist and say, go do what you want to do. Man, you give them the maximum sentence possible, because if you know they did this and you have proof you did this, why the hell are we giving them a plea deal of a lesser sentence? Let's go full force and get them for what they actually did.
Yeah, that's
If I
right.
had to do another
Because I mean,
law, if I had to do another law, which I'm not looking forward to doing another law, it would be no plea deals. Plea deals for child killers.
but
I'm
you
sorry,
would, yeah,
no plea deals.
if you need to, yeah. I hear
But
you. And I mean, here's no kid. I'm going to say something here that I think a lot of people would probably agree with. I'm talking, there was a case not too long ago. I actually saw this case. I can't remember the guy's name, but he went to prison for most of his life. He was young when he went in, and then he was spending his life in prison. He's an old
mhm.
man now. And he got exonerated because of DNA. And it was found out that he was not responsible for this little girl's rape and murder.
Oh wow.
But too late. He spent his whole life in prison. His life has been ruined. His mother's life was ruined because you know she never had a good life after her son was
You
uh, you
wouldn't.
know taken away, right? But it so looked like it was him, and the jury and all them were so positive it was him, just because of the circumstances.
Mhm.
The sad thing is they later on did some DNA and they found out it was this other man, and he
Yeah.
was already dead. So
That's
they couldn't
what's
even
so
prosecute the
bad.
one that they wanted to.
Well,
So I'm not
that's
talking about cases where there's not enough evidence to say you can't put this person at the scene of the crime, but there's enough evidence to say that it was most likely him. Because there's a lot of cases like that, and those
mhm.
ones I would say okay, no bullet to the head. I'm talking they literally bust people, literally police knocking doors in where this perpetrated crimes, which I'm not going into details here, because it's too sordid and it's not okay for polite society. Sordid bullshit going on, and they literally have to pull these monsters off of these children.
Yeah.
And they've got them right in their hands. Now, those are the ones I'm talking about that would be so much easier. Skip the trial, quick bullet to the head, get rid of them. You know what I mean? Somebody gets caught like that, red-handed, while they're perpetrating an act on a child. Why are we even bothering to send them to prison? So they can go sit back and have a nice little cheery, chummy life in a cell somewhere. I don't understand it. Like, no, it makes me angry, really angry. Yeah. Because nobody gives a shit about these kids out here.
No, they don't.
And it's just sad. But what we were talking about earlier, I kind of got off on a tangent. Like you were saying, there's women out here who will stand up for the murdering abuser who killed their children, their own flesh and blood, because they love that man more than they love their children. There was a case not too long ago, and I can't remember the little girl's name, but I remember the last name was Montgomery. And this was a big case. It was well known all across the United States. Up in Canada, we all had the news about it. Everybody was watching the trial because the guy, the dad, it was his biological daughter. I don't think, he just had a bad temper and really should have known better, but beat this little girl up and she died. Okay. Now he didn't he was driving and he was mad because I think she had wet the car, had gone to the bathroom or something and couldn't hold it any longer because they wouldn't pull over because him and his stupid girlfriend, who was not the child's mother, were drug users and they had to hurry up and get to some drug house. So the child couldn't hold it anymore. And I guess the dad said, you made a mess back there, and turned around and hit her so hard that she died. He just literally punched her several times, and I probably crushed her throat. I mean, I don't really know. But anyway, so they hide the body. He takes it, folds his little daughter's body up, puts it in a duffel bag, right?
Oh my God.
And they go on about their business. They end up in they're drug users. They don't have a decent place to live. The mother who really wants the daughter is not allowed to have the daughter because she missed one of the hearings. So the judge gave the daughter.
We see a lot of
the judge gave the daughter to this rotten, stinking husband, right? So he I'm not going to go into too many details here because this is it's really disgusting. But anyway, they carry this body around for months. And they're putting all sorts of chemicals and bleach. I mean, he is. And this woman who's with him, this cheeky drug addict girlfriend, loves this man and is totally not saying anything about this child being killed. She's just going along with it. And so, after a while, he literally he's squeezing the water out of this little girl's body in bathtubs, the fluid. Ew. And packing her with more stuff because they don't want no smell. This goes on till she's just a bag of bones. Literally, there's nothing left, just bones. So they break up all the bones and they take them so they don't get busted, and they throw them all out into the countryside. He gets one of his buddies to rent a van, a U-Haul, and they drive around and they throw these bones out everywhere. This is the kind of dad this man is. You know what I mean? Now I think he got life. I'm pretty sure he got life. Why are we paying for him? The taxpayer money's paying for him. I'm not, but your tax money down there is. I'm in Canada. We got our own we're paying for up here. So why are we paying for him? Why are we paying for these creeps? Why should they live? Why?
Don't you remember that Chris Watts? He killed his wife that was pregnant. And then he killed his 2 daughters because he wanted to be in a relationship with somebody else. It's what I don't understand is if you don't want the kid, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, because it doesn't matter, because there's a lot of great dads out there and dads get a bad rap. Right. There's a lot of great moms out there and some get a bad rap. So it's not that for me. Right. But if you don't want a child, just like this Chris Watts, and I only seen his case on TV. I don't know anything about the guy, but
Yeah.
if you didn't want to be with your pregnant wife and your daughters, how do you kill your wife when she's pregnant with your child and then kill your 2 little daughters to be with somebody else? Why don't you just divorce her and move on? Like, what was the big deal about having to kill her? And I remember the one part that just gives me chills, and it gives me chills to even think about it right now, was I heard when he said on TV, they asked if the one daughter said anything, and he said yes. She asked if she was going to end up like, I think the little girl's name was Cece or something, and he shook his head. Yeah. How do you say to your own child you're going to kill him? How do you do that? Like,
Yeah.
if you don't want to be with the mother and the kids, walk away. If you don't want to be the father and the kids, walk away. If you really don't want that kid, walk away. Like, why do you have to hurt a child? I don't get it. I just, honest to God, I don't get
I think it
people.
has a lot to do with money. It has a lot to do with the house, the money. If obviously it's gonna involve the separation of, who's gonna look after the children, like custody issues as well as financial issues. For instance, the house and like maybe she'll get a lot of money, and he didn't want her to get any money, so he's like, well, I'll just kill her. I won't let her get any of the money, right? So it's sometimes I think, and mostly, how can you do that without not having some sort of evil situation going on in your heart, to murder your wife who's carrying your baby and then murder your children? It's just not okay.
Lori,
Right?
I'll tell you
So
what,
there has to be something wrong.
it
Right?
wouldn't matter to me if I was in that situation and it was like, I would give up everything for my
That's
kids.
terrible.
He could have his money, he could have his
Oh
house,
yeah.
he could have his cars. I'd walk away with nothing as long as I was able to keep my children. My children would have meant more to me than anything else, you know.
Well, you and me are just different. I don't have any children, but I know that I would. That's how I feel about them. So I know I would be the same way. Like, the thing is, I know we're just different people, right? I mean, who would do something like that? Like, it's just wrong.
Yeah.
It's just so wrong in every way.
It
And
is.
we see these cases coming up all the time. This
I
is
just
like
don't get
something
people.
that just goes on and on and on. And that's only the big ones that you see. Most of these crimes are not even
Well,
reported on. That's what we've always talked about. The
yeah,
fact that
and
there are so many cases that never see the light of day because they're not high profile cases.
the day we sat down on the whole issue with Aaron Bernstein, do you remember him saying about, you can look it up and you could see like who, like a lot of times you can do a Google search to see if somebody committed a crime. And I remember saying to him, that's not always true, because if you take a small town, kind of like where I'm from, little Jimmy down the corner, he's not getting no attention for being abused, killed. He's not. Anson Stover. I'll use him as an example. He was in the next community over from
That's
mine.
right.
That little boy, my heart broke for him. It really did. But
yeah, absolutely.
oh my God, Lori, I cried
Okay.
more tears about a little boy that I didn't even know, like, than people would
I
ever
know.
even imagine. Seriously. But
It's
I
sad.
look at him and I think,
It's just tragic.
okay, he was killed and it was in the newspaper. A week later, it said something else in the newspaper about him. I didn't hear about him again until his aunt died in prison. She was being held in the Clinton County prison.
Oh yeah.
She died in prison because she
that's it.
overdosed. I didn't hear any more about that little boy. And to me, that's disgusting, number one, because how quickly people forget. Number two, people say it doesn't happen in small communities. And I hate to tell you, but take a good look. It happened, and it happened just the next community over.
It sure does.
With
It happens
Jasmine and
everywhere.
Nicole Snyder. So when people say it don't happen, yes, it does happen. But I get mad because a lot of times they glorify the killer. If you watch different things on TV, there was one that stood out to me. It was he was I don't know what his name was, but he was a med student and he was going to be a doctor. He had a girlfriend, they were engaged, but he was I think he was like the Craigslist killer or something. He was putting ads on
Mhm.
Craigslist. He'd meet these women, and then he would kill them. And it had the part where
Crazy.
he was in jail and he took his own life. And in that movie, they played like at the end, they played this very sad song, and they made it like it was such a sad tragedy that he took his own life. And I'm thinking, he killed how many women and you didn't even care?
Yeah.
You're making it like poor him. No, what
Who
about,
cares about the loser? Good for
what
him. He's dead.
about, what about the
Seriously.
people that died? Or I know locally we
That's
had
it.
Kelly Snyder, and a lot of people get very mad at me because I'm like, Kelly was a great person. She was a beautiful person. Her kids meant everything in the world to
Mhm.
her, everything in the world to her. And she was killed. And there's people that'll say,
That's
well,
sad.
he loved her so much that, he couldn't live without her, or he loved her so much he did
No,
everything.
that's bullshit.
So I said to the one person one day, I was actually having my hair done, and there was someone in there and they were running their mouth. And I said, "Can I ask you something? You said he loved her so much, right?" And they're like, "Yeah." I said, "Did she ask him to kill her?" Well, what do you mean? I said, "Well, you said he would do anything for her. Did she ask him to kill her?" Well, no. I said, "Well, the end result was he killed her. So why are we having
Yeah.
this conversation that I should feel sad and sorry for him? Because I don't. He took
You
another
don't.
woman's life.
That's right.
He took his wife's life, the person that he was supposed to love so much. He robbed that
Yep.
mother of her 3 children. He robbed those 3 children of their mother. When if
That's
they
right.
weren't getting along, they could have walked away
That's
from
sad,
each
man.
other. Don't kill
Mhm.
somebody. This person was so pissed off
Exactly.
at me. They left, they talked about me, they said a bunch of nasty stuff, and I'm like, but you're sticking up for someone that killed his wife. You're sticking
Yeah.
up for somebody that stole
Stick it up
their
for a
life.
murderer.
Yes, and you stole that
Mhm.
lady. She's
This is how
she's
it
in heaven.
is.
She was a believer of Jesus Christ, but you stole her.
Yeah.
You took children from her. You took her children. You took her away from. Like,
Well,
how are you okay with that? And people's okay with it, and I'm just like, you people are nuts. Like, people are just
yeah.
crazy. I don't get it.
No, it's because I don't know. I don't understand it. I mean, I know that there's studies done on it, but I'm not really up on it. But this
No,
whole uh, protecting and caring for and loving the perpetrator of the crime more than the victim. So it's like the
yeah, that's
victim is just like, oh well, who cares about the victim? It's a perpetrator of the crime that gets all the attention, and
mm-hmm,
you know what about the
always.
victim? You know what I mean? Nobody cares about the victim, whether it's an adult or a child normally, because we have a really messed up sense of what's right and what's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking as a world population, not just North America. Like the world, like we just have it wrong. I've had somebody say, "Well, okay, how do you know what's right and how do you know what's wrong?" And one time I always go into this because it just pissed me off so bad. And this person says, "Well, right and wrong, your right and wrong isn't the same as my right and wrong. What if, you know, does that make my right wrong?" And I'm like, "Listen, buddy." I'm like, "Okay, you want to get down to like really what's right and really what's wrong? Okay, how about this? Picture yourself, see somebody kidnaps you and your family, okay, and they, first of all, they kill your children, they kill your wife, and do all sorts of horrible things right in front of your eyes. There's nothing you can do because you can't, you're just stuck watching this, right? And then they come on and they chop your leg off. Okay. So as you're sitting there bleeding to death, you need to figure out what's right and what's wrong. Was it right for them to do that, or was it wrong for them to do that? It only works if it's you. Nobody
Yeah.
really gives a shit about anybody else, and that's a
No,
fact.
no,
They only cry about it if it happens to them, right? If
100%.
it,
You're
if it,
correct.
if, because everybody's all about this me bullshit, and sometimes it does need to be me. So I'm not saying it's never me. You know, Individually we all have needs, wants,
Oh
desires, and all
yeah,
this other stuff.
yeah,
But
I
the thing
agree.
is like we have to also remember that there are an awful lot of people out there getting hurt, children, men and women, by these perpetrators who just get a hold of them, for whatever reason. And they do need they're the ones that people should be feeling bad for.
Yeah.
Not these criminals who are committing crimes. Let's all remember these are crimes against humanity, crimes against children, crimes against adults, crimes against humanity. Right? It's a crime.
Sad.
Hey Boo, it's almost it's 10:30 your time. Last time we didn't end the show on time because it was my fault. I didn't say anything. And we were like a half an hour late. So if anybody was watching that, I'm really sorry. So this time we decided we're going to try to make it on time.
Well, we had technical difficulties. My screen started going crazy when we first got on, and I was like,
tonight when we first came on.
Let me reboot because I don't want it.
Sometimes it's me. No, but I mean the last show that we did, we were way over time, and then the break went long. So if anybody was waiting, they were probably like, forget it, they're not coming. So we're going to be back in a half an hour. So 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 1/2 hour from now. Grab us for part 2 because we're back on in 30 minutes. We're just taking a break, and we'll see y'all when we get back. All right, Donna.
See you soon.